Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt that absolute crushing frustration of just hitting a brick wall in your workouts, like showing up day in and day out only to be stuck on the exact same pull-up max for literally months, well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're unpacking a hidden saboteur in your routine that's probably keeping you stuck. And spoiler alert, it has absolutely nothing to do with your diet or how hard you're working.
Okay, let's dive right into this. How long should you actually rest between heavy sets? I want you to be completely honest with yourself for a second here. If you're like most of us trying to cram a workout into a totally packed schedule, you're probably guessing your rest should be, maybe 60, 90 seconds max, right? You push through a brutal set, stand there panting until you don't feel entirely winded anymore, and then boom, you jump right back on the bar.
Well, the actual data says something completely different. Try 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah, you heard me right, 3 to 5 minutes. That is how long you actually need. Now, I fully acknowledge that sitting around staring at the wall for up to 5 minutes feels completely insane. It feels like you're just wasting time. But rushing your sets like that's a massive flaw born out of this whole cardio culture we've bought into. We have this super ingrained, totally mistaken belief that if your heart rate isn't constantly spiked and you aren't sweating buckets, you aren't working hard. But hey, strength training is not cardio. Prioritizing a racing heart over actual muscular recovery is exactly the reason your progress is stalled out. Which brings us to Section 1, the biology of muscle recovery. Let's just look at the biological reality of what's actually happening under the hood when you cut that rest short. Spoiler, you aren't training harder. You are literally actively sabotaging your own strength and leaving like 30% of your potential output on the table before you even pick up the weights again. See, your body relies on the ATP-CP system for heavy lifting. Think of this system exactly like the rechargeable battery on your smartphone. At 30 seconds of rest, your battery is only 50% restored. At 2 minutes, okay, you're up to 85%. But to get back to 100% full power, you really need that full 3 to 5 minutes. If you jump back into a heavy lift at the 1 minute mark, your nervous system and your muscles are still deeply fatigued. You're basically forcing your body to run on a blinking red battery icon.
All right, moving on to Section 2, rest times for your goals.
So the exact numbers you need, they depend entirely on what you're actually trying to achieve. For strength, pushing heavy weight in that 1 to 6 rep range, you absolutely need the full 3 to 5 minutes for complete nervous system restoration. But if your goal is hypertrophy, which is building muscle size in the 6 to 12 rep range, then 1 to 3 minutes is your sweet spot. Why? Because you actually want to keep a little bit of metabolic stress in the system to trigger that growth. And for endurance, anything 15 reps and above, 30 to 90 seconds is perfect. The whole point there is intentionally training your body to work straight through the fatigue. And this brilliantly illustrates that there are, of course, a couple crucial exceptions to the rule. For skill work, think handstands or muscle-ups, just throw the timer away. Seriously, you rest until your quality of movement returns. Skill work demands a totally fresh nervous system, or else you're just reinforcing wobbly, bad habits. And if you're a beginner, simple. Just add 30 to 60 seconds to any of the guidelines we just talked about. Your nervous system simply isn't as efficient yet at recruiting muscle fibers, so you fundamentally just need more time to reset the whole system.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, how smartphones sabotage your gains.
Okay, here is the massive twist in this explainer. Even if you time your rest absolutely perfectly, based on all that biological data we just covered, there is a hidden behavioral saboteur that is completely ruining your workout right now. Researchers actually found that people lifted 15% less weight simply by scrolling on their phones during their rest periods. 15%! That's not just some minor rounding error, guys. That is literally the massive difference between making incredible gains and just spinning your wheels in the gym for months on end.
So it's absolutely crucial to understand exactly why this happens. And it all comes down to this concept of dual tasking. Basically, this is when your brain attempts to manage two complex things at the exact same time, causing its processing capacity to just split right in half. When you're sitting there processing rapid-fire Instagram reels or having these deep, intense text conversations between sets, you are generating massive mental fatigue. Your brain just doesn't get a break. And that mental energy drain, it directly and immediately impairs your physical performance on the very next set.
To put that into perspective, a 2016 study builds a rock-solid case against using your phone. The group without phones, the ones just resting naturally, managed a really solid 13 minutes of high-intensity effort. But look at the flip side. The group with phones only managed 7 minutes of high-intensity effort while dragging out 10 whole minutes in low intensity. So basically, pulling your phone out drastically reduces your ability to push hard. It essentially turns your carefully planned lifting session into a distracted, totally ineffective waste of time.
All right, section 4. What to do during rest.
So if the smartphone needs to stay zipped up in your gym bag and doing these poorly planned, exhausting little circuit exercises between sets is out, what should you actually be doing with those long 3 to 5 minutes of downtime? Well, here is your highly effective, fully approved list of rest activities. Active rest, like very light movement or just shaking out the muscles you just used, is fantastic because it actually clears lactate out of your system way faster than just standing perfectly still. Mental rehearsal is another absolute game changer. Just visualize your form, mentally run through the physical cues. You're quite literally priming the neural pathways for your next heavy set. You can also use breathing protocols like deep naso or box breathing to just bring your heart rate down in a nice, controlled way. Honestly, even just doing absolutely nothing and being totally present in the room is a perfect option. Oh, and if you absolutely have to track your workout on your phone, do it fast, 30 seconds maximum to log the reps, and then get your eyes right back on the physical task at hand. Let's bring it all together in Section 5, the 90% performance test.
Okay, so here is the direct solution for that frustrating plateau we talked about right at the start of this explainer. If you're resting too short, your performance is going to drop off a cliff from set to set. You might knock out 12 pull-ups on set 1, but only manage a measly 7 on set 3, all while your form completely falls apart. On the flip side, if you're resting way too long, you'll know because you'll completely lose the muscle pump, you'll physically cool down, and a standard 45-minute workout suddenly drags on for 2 excruciating hours. And hey, I have to warn you right now, your internal clock is complete garbage when you are physically fatigued. You might swear 90 seconds have passed, but it's really only been 40. You absolutely, positively must start using a digital timer.
So here is your final coaching framework to put into action literally today. Step 1, get a timer. Seriously, no more guessing. Step 2, track your performance across your next 3 workouts and just adjust your rest in 30-second increments. And here is the golden rule, the 90% performance test. If you can do 10 reps on your very first set, you should be perfectly recovered enough to hit at least 9 reps on your third set. If you drop below 90% of your starting performance, you need more rest. And finally, step 3, eliminate the phone during your workouts for 2 full weeks. Just try it and watch your strength skyrocket. Which brings us to our final, somewhat provocative question for this explainer. If you can't manage to stay off your phone for just 2 minutes between sets, maybe the real problem isn't your rest timing at all. Maybe it's focus. Remember, rest is not just some downtime to zone out. It is absolutely crucial, non-negotiable preparation for your body to perform again at its absolute peak. So take this structure, use your timer, put the screen away, and go test this at the gym today. I promise you, you'll be amazed at the difference. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.